Part 2 of talking about willpower and its actual form. In the previous video, by providing a shocking theory supported by many scientific studies and research, I talked about the possibility that the common notion of willpower depleting after excess use might have been inaccurate. Is willpower actually limitless? Welcome to Life Study Library. This channel talks about these interesting and useful information about science and psychology by providing numerous scholarly data and studies. If you want to know the truth about willpower and how we should think about it to improve and live your life well, please enjoy the video, and if you haven't already, please watch the part 1 of this series through the link in the description. And also please make sure to like, subscribe, and share Life Study Library. Thank you so much for doing all that, and now let's get going with the video. Okay, but how can willpower and motivation be a limitless source of energy? Life wouldn't be this hard if that were the case, is something that you would naturally be thinking after hearing my claim, one that makes total sense. After all, if willpower does not indeed deplete, nobody would struggle with continuing a difficult exercise regime or studying consistently over a long period of time. Again, the how or why part is already talked about in my previous video, so I'll skip on that. And so today I'll discuss an alternative model to the willpower depletion and explain how we should view and think about willpower. It might become a rather theoretical explanation, so I'll briefly discuss a portion of the video after this one on one of the characteristics of people with strong willpower. Today's referenced book, Why Everyone Else is a Hypocrite: Evolution and the Modular Mind by Robert Kurzban, talks about this particular theory that might become our answer. According to the text, human mind is a collection of different modules, each activating as a switch to do or stop a certain function. There is a module that makes us feel hungry when we don't eat, a module that makes us want to cheat on a test, or a module that makes us feel angry when things don't go as planned. These numerous modules work in tandem, which allows us to live in this complex world. However, they sometimes make mistakes and activate against each other. Even though the module to resist temptations is active, because we consciously see that temptation in front of us, the module to give in to that temptation also activates, creating a sort of a module paradox. According to Dr. Kurzban, the modules working against each other is what we call ego depletion. Our wanting to eat the ice cream module is activated, but when we try to resist that urge, the opportunity cost for the wanting to eat the ice cream module will increase. Soon, the wanting to eat the ice cream module exceeds our current state that's not doing that, and we give in to that temptation. The stated theory suggests that this happens not because of the depletion of our willpower, but because of a bust in our control system caused by the opportunity cost of our mental modules. Pretty interesting, right? However, according to another study done by Dr. Kurzban, we are able to restore our willpower with a small reward that matches our labor, like sugar water. Despite the phenomenon requiring further research to be applicable in daily life, this is definitely some good news. It's as if you're thinking about what to do for the weekend and different ideas pop into your mind, and the priority to do certain activities over others switch depending on the situation. I have to say, it's much more realistic to understand willpower as switching between options than as a battery, starting out full but decreasing with time. However, the issue with the module theory is that there will inevitably be way too many modules in our life, and managing all of them would be impossible. So, another study done in 2014 introduced a more practical process model of depletion. Essentially, this process model explains how the amount of willpower changes depending on what you prioritize. You can use this to your advantage by putting yourself in a state where you want to work hard and persevere. For me, even when I don't feel like going to the gym to work out, if an attractive person asks me to go work out with them, I will for sure put my pants on and hit the gym. You can see that my willpower didn't disappear because it actually depleted, but because I didn't feel like controlling my actions, and I was still able to revive it when I put myself in specific situations where it warrants my willpower and motivation. By applying these two process models, we can conclude that willpower is a matter of strategy. If we get tired of performing a task, we can switch to a different task that are at least a little less boring and do that for a short while. In contrast, if we perceive our willpower in an ego depletion form, we might mistakenly apply it as an excuse or as a reason of us losing it as we put in effort, which is not the best use of the resource if our willpower does not in fact deplete. If we continue along this line, we'll eventually realize that trying to strengthen our willpower is pointless if it's a matter of strategy, or rather, it's better to not even think about willpower in the first place. So I guess in the end, we did reach the same conclusion that we shouldn't rely on willpower, not necessarily because it's a limited resource, but because it's just better to strategize when we do something difficult. With that said, we still haven't shed light on those special people who seems to already have high levels of willpower in their toolkit, because it definitely helps to have that power, right? What kind of characteristic or personality does it require for a regular earthling like you to hone high levels of willpower and motivation? That'll be a topic for the next video, so watch out for that. For the book recommendation, I suggest you read into Dr. Kurzban's book, Why Everyone Else is a Hypocrite: Evolution and the Modular Mind. And if you want to know these scientifically proven perseverance techniques that don't rely on any emotional fuel, I've introduced a number of these strategies on one of my videos called How to Make and Break Habits. One of the main ideas of this video is that humans are constantly dictated by lures related to our primal desires as living beings, which mainly consists of eating, sleeping, and reproducing. Back when civilization was just starting, we had absolutely no guarantee of a secure dinner, or a place to live, or a sexual partner, until very recently, that is. And those who were able to attain it were the ones that got to pass down their genes, and that's why the modern people have those primal desires pre-programmed in our human system, because those were the kinds of people who survived. But now, those pre-programmed desires are often working against us, because now we live in a generally wealthier world than they were. So, instead of relying on willpower to fight against those biological primal desires that were passed down for generations, it's more efficient and easier to rely on tactics to avoid letting those desires to surface in the first place, right? Is that even possible? Yes, it is, with the right kind of science and psychology. I've been Lye Yosh, and this has been Life Study Library.